So today we will be discussing about the microprocessor architecture, which is the part 2 of the unit number 1. As we know that microprocessor is a programmable logic device designed with the registers, flip-flops and the timing elements. The microprocessor works on certain set of the instructions which are designed internally to manipulate the data, as well as it is able to communicate with the peripherals. Now this process of data manipulation and communication is determined by the logic design, which is called the architecture of the microprocessor. Now the microprocessor can be programmed to perform different functions on the given data by selecting the certain necessary instructions of the given instruction set, and these instructions are given to the microprocessor by writing these instructions into the memory one by one, as along with the data through the input device, that may be the keyboard. And the microprocessor is going to read these instructions one at a time, matches that what it wants to do, what kind of instruction it is, and performs the manipulation of the data which is governed by the instruction itself. And after doing the data manipulation, the result will be stored, or result will be stored in the memory, as well as it can be displayed on the CRT monitor or on the LED display screen. Besides that, microprocessor can also respond to the external signals which is generated by the external devices. It can be interrupted, it can be asked to wait for the synchronization purpose for the slower memory or the peripheral devices. It can be also reset. So meaning thereby there are various functions which are performed by the microprocessor, and these functions which are performed by the microprocessor can be classified into 3 different operations of microprocessor. The first one is the MUPI initiated operation, second one is the internal operation, and third one is the externally initiated operation. So for doing all these operations, whether it is MUPI initiated internal operation or the externally initiated operation, the microprocessor is in requirement of group of the logic circuits, as well as certain set of the signals which are called the control signal. And with the help of these circuits, which is going to which is fabricated on a certain chip, which is later on called the in totality is called the microprocessor unit. So microprocessor unit, you can define it as a group of the devices that can perform these different functions along with the as per the necessary set of the control signal. So you can say that this microprocessor unit is very much similar to the central processor unit or central processing unit of the microprocessor. Now first of all, the first function which is performed by the MUPI is the MUPI initiated operation. Let us first discuss about that. Now the MUPI initiated operation, primarily it is going to perform 4 operations. One is memory read operation, memory write operation, input output read, and input output write operation. And all these operations are the part of the communication process, and so the microprocessor is in need to perform the certain steps for doing memory read operation, write operation, input output read, or the write operations. So what are those steps which are required to do all these operations? The first step is to identify the peripheral device or the memory device. The second one is the transfer of the binary information, and third one is providing the timing and the control signal. So first of all, it is necessary for the microprocessor to identify whether it wants to work with peripheral device or it wants to work with the memory. And then certain control signal or the timing signal will be generated by the processor, And once these two things happens, then only the binary information can be transformed, can be transferred from one place to another place. So for doing all these kinds of the operation, microprocessor is in requirement of the communication, and these communication can be done with the help of certain set of the wires which are called in totality called the buses. Buses are nothing but these are the set of wires which carries the information from one place to another place, either in the form of an address or in the form of a control signal or in the form of a timing signal or in the form of a data. So we are in requirement of certain buses to do the microprocessor initiated operation, because it is basically the communication process which is going to happen in between the processor and the peripheral or the memory device. So let us first discuss about the address bus. Now address bus is having a certain group of the lines which are identified as A0 to A15, and these buses are which are, if it is having 16 lines, so group of 16 wires are there which carries the address which is generated by the processor to the rest of the world. If it wants to communicate with the peripheral, it will be using the address bus to send the address of the peripheral. If it wants to communicate with the memory, it used to send the 16 lines, it used to use the 16 lines of the address bus to send the address of the memory register. Now these 16-bit address is necessary to these 16-bit addresses are unique addresses either of the peripheral device or of the memory device, and it is the address which is very much similar to the postal address. Everybody is having its own address, everybody is identified by the address. Similarly, every peripheral device or every memory register will be identified by the register, by the addresses. Now this address bus is always said to be the unidirectional. Because why it is unidirectional? Because it is the address which is required to be sent by the processor to the rest of the world, such as memory or the input or the output. Now so to identify, the first step is to identify the memory or the peripheral can be done with the help of the address bus. The second one is the data bus. Now data bus is a group of 8 lines, and the purpose of this data bus is to transfer the data in between the processor and the rest of the devices, and that is why this data bus is meant to be bidirectional. Why it is bidirectional? Because data can flow from the processor to the memory, or from the memory to the processor, from the processor to the output device, from the processor from the input device to the processor. So it means data will be flowing in between in any end. So that is why these buses, the data bus is a bidirectional, and it is a group of 8 lines. And these 8 lines are identified by D0 to D7. And the purpose of using the data bus is just to carry the 8-bit information in between the processor and the device. The third one is the control bus, which comprises of many signals, many single signals, and these signals are being generated by the processor to control the operations of the other devices. It is not the processor which is going to control, it is not the other devices which is going to control the process of the processor. That is why these control buses are again a unidirectional bus, because the control signals are generated by the processor and it is sent from the processor to the memory or to the peripheral device. So to do the microprocessor initiated operations such as memory read, memory write, input output read and input output write, the microprocessor will be using these communication lines called buses in the form of an address bus, which is used to carry the address, data bus which is used to carry the binary information in the form of a data or the instruction, as well as the control buses which is used to carry the control signals or the timing signal from the processor to the other devices. So address bus and the control bus are unidirectional, but data bus is a bidirectional. Now this is an example which is showing the use of memory address bus, data bus and the control signal. Now here in this case 8085 is having 16 address lines A0 to A15. First of all, the processor will be sending the address of the memory, and once this address arrives at the memory link, suppose the memory address is 2005. So this 2005 will be carried by this address bus, and it is being received by the memory chip, where it is decoded. What is the meaning of memory decoding? It is the memory is having many registers. If the memory size is 1 kilobyte, it means there are 1024 registers, and each register can store 8-bit information. So it has to identify, after receiving the address, it has to identify that which register has to be worked. Now these registers can be worked either for reading purpose or for writing purpose. So that is why the memory will be in requirement of certain control signal which has to be received by the memory from the processor. So the processor will be sending memory read signal from in the form of a control signal to the memory chip. So once the address is being received at the memory chip, as well as the control signal has been received in the form of a memory read, so this memory will be able to know that at that particular address the processor wants to read something. So what will happen, whatever is written at 2005, suppose it is written 76, this 76 will be loaded on the data bus by the memory, and through this data bus the 76 will be coming to the microprocessor. So this is the memory read operation, which similarly if it is a memory write operation, so what will happen, first of all the microprocessor will be sending the address of the memory where it wants to write something, then it will be sending a memory signal in the form of not the memory read, but it will be sending memory write signal to the process, to the memory chip, and then it will be sending the data, 8-bit data which it wants to write at a particular memory address. So this data will be loaded on the data bus, and through the data bus it will be coming to the memory. So what will happen, whatever data will be available, it will be loaded, it will be copied, it will be stored on the memory address which is defined by the address. So similarly we have memory read, memory write. Similarly we have input output read and input output write. In case of input output read information, the first of all microprocessor will be sending the address of the port where the input device is connected. Then instead of sending memory read signal, it will send input output read signal, and once these two signals has been received by the input device, whatever data, whatever information it is available on the input device, it will be loaded on the data bus, and through the data bus the data will be coming to the processor. Now the second operation, the second function which the microprocessor used to perform is the internal data operation. An internal data operation of 8085, it has many operations, because internally what kind of operation it is going to do. Now this internal data operation includes the storing of 8-bit number, performing arithmetic and the logic operations, testing the conditions. Testing the condition means after doing any arithmetic in the logic condition, logic operation, it has to test the condition whether depending upon the requirement of the problem. The next one is the sequencing the execution of the instruction, because instructions are written in a sequence in the memory. So what will happen when the first instruction is being decoded and executed, it is required to execute the next instruction. So there must be certain way by which it can sequence the execution of the instruction. And the last one is the store data temporarily during the execution. Once the instruction has been executed, it may be required to store certain information somewhere else, either in the register or in the output device or in the memory device. So these are the certain operation which it performs. Now to do these arithmetic and the logic operation, it requires certain registers, arithmetic and the logic unit as well as the control logic, and there must be certain internal buses through which the information can flow from one place to another place. Now as far as the internal registers which are used in 8085 that has been displayed, that has been given in this particular figure, we have certain set of the register which are used for this purpose, for storing 8-bit number, accumulator, B register, C register, D, E, H, L, and all these registers are called general purpose register, and these registers can be used to store an 8-bit information into the. This is the flag register which is used for the testing the condition, because after doing any arithmetic and the logic operation with whose reference is accumulator, the result will also be stored in the accumulator, and due to that data manipulation by arithmetic and the logic operation, there may be possibility of changing the status of the result. Just to check the status of the result, once the result will be stored in the accumulator, the flag registers will be showing the status of the result. As told earlier also, the flag register is also of 8-bit, out of which 5 bits are used for different purposes. 1 bit is meant for the zero flag, sign flag, auxiliary carry flag, parity flag, and the carry flag. So if you are doing any arithmetic operation in which you are adding two 8-bit numbers, and after doing the arithmetic operation, it may be possible that after adding two 8-bit numbers, the possibility is that there will be generation of carry. So if carry will be generated, then the carry flag of the flag register will be set to 1. If the result of the accumulator after doing any arithmetic operation, if it becomes 0, the 0 flag will be set. If the result of the accumulator D7 bit is 1, the sign flag will be set, and so on. So by testing the condition of the flag, individual flags, it can test the condition of the result. Now besides these general purpose registers and flag register, we have two more registers. One is called a stack pointer and another is called the program counter. Now program stack pointer is a kind of a memory pointer which points that memory location which will be stored, which will be used as a stack, because you know that a stack is a kind of an arrangement in which the data is put one over the other, and that is why it works on the FILO or LIFO system, last in first out or first in last out. And the name has been given just because it works in the form of a stacking of one data over the other. If you're doing a stacking of one item over the other, whatever item you have put last can be taken first out. So that is why it is called the stack pointer. And the next one is the program counter, which is meant for sequencing the execution of the instruction. Suppose we have a certain program, and that program written in assembly language, and that assembly language program using its mnemonics code and later on converted into the hex code has been stored into the memory, and you want to execute that particular program. So you instruct the processor to execute the program. So whenever you give the command to the processor to execute, it will ask where your program is written, because memory is very large and you might have written your program at a certain memory address. So it will ask for the initial address of your program. So what will happen, whenever you write the initial address of the program counter will be loaded by that address, and through that address which is loaded in the program counter, through this address line, unidirectional address line, it will be flowing to the memory, and processor will be sending some control signal, and once the control signal is being received and the address has been received by the memory, it will load the instruction binary information into the data bus, and through the data bus it will be coming to the processor and it is being executed. Now the next time it has to execute the next instruction which is written just after that. So it is the program counter which increments itself by 1, so that the next address will be given to the address bus and it will be sent to the memory, and memory will the processor will be sending the memory read signal, and from that the data will be loaded on the data bus and then it will be. So program counter is a kind of a memory pointer which actually makes the sequence of the execution of the instruction. Now after these two operation, that is BP initiated operation, internal data operation, we have externally initiated operations. Of course, different operations which can be performed by the processor. Most of the operations are under the control of the processor, but the 8085 provides the facility to the external devices or the peripheral devices to initiate certain operations depending upon the requirement. And in this category of the operation, we have 4 different signals, which we have 4 externally initiated operation. One is reset, interrupt, ready, and hold. Now any device which is connected with the processor who wants to reset the operation of processor can be done with the externally initiated signal, that is reset. So this reset is an input which is coming to the processor through which any external device can reset. And what is the meaning of resetting? The meaning of resetting that whenever we put a reset button, whatever processor will be doing, it will stop it will suspend all the operation whatever it is doing, and with that the program counter will be loaded with the initial address, that is the 0000. Means whenever we reset, all the operations which are being performed by the processor will be stopped and it will suspend all the operation and program counter will be loaded by 0000. The second operation is the interrupt operation. Now any peripheral device or the memory device wants to interrupt the operation of the processor, it can be done with the help of the interrupt line. So what happens? The interrupt normally means temporarily haltage, temporary stop. Whatever execution part processor will be doing, whenever it receives any interrupt signal from the peripheral or external devices, it will suspend temporarily its execution. And the purpose of using the interrupt is, there may be many purposes. The one of the purpose is to transfer the data from the slower peripheral devices to the microprocessor. You know that processor is a semiconductor device and all the peripheral devices are not the semiconductor device, but they are electromechanical devices. So there are mismatch in the speed. So suppose input device is ready with the data and processor is doing its service, but input device want to give the data to the microprocessor. So what it will do? It will interrupt the processor, giving the information that the data is ready, please accept it. So by doing that, it will be interrupted. Whatever processor will be doing, it will be interrupted temporarily, and it will go to execute the routine, which is a certain set of the instructions which are written for actually transferring of the data from the input device to the. So interrupt is a temporary haltage, and once this interrupt is over, the microprocessor resumes its services whatever it was doing. So the difference between reset and the interrupt is very simple. Reset means permanently suspend. Interrupt means temporarily suspend and then later on resume. Then we have another kind of external signal, that is ready signal. Now this ready signal is normally used to synchronize the slower peripheral devices or the memory devices. So whenever a memory device or the peripheral device is ready with the data, they give the information by sending a ready signal to the processor, and processor will be able to know that the device which has knocked through the ready signal is ready for actual transfer of the data. And the fourth externally initiated signal is the hold signal, which is normally used for direct memory access data transfer. I have already told you that there is no possibility by which you don't have any direct instruction by which you can transfer the data from one memory location to another memory location, or certain data from one place to another place, or from one device to another device. And the reason is very simple, because whenever you want to transfer the data from one device to another device, you are in requirement of buses. And as far as the microprocessor is concerned, if many devices are connected with the microprocessor, the buses, which are known as address bus, data bus, and the control bus, which is used for the communication purpose, are under the control of the processor. And that is why we don't have any instruction by which you can transfer the data from one device to another device, until unless you copy the source data into the processor and then from the processor to the other device. So if you are transferring the data from one device to another device with the help of the processor, then it will be a time-taking process, because you have to first copy the data from the source device to the processor, and then from the processor to the destination device. But microprocessor have provided a hold signal just to relinquish the control of the buses. Relinquish means release the control of the buses. So if any device who wants to transfer the data to another device without any intervention of the processor, what it will do, it will send a request to the processor by sending a hold signal. And once this hold signal is being received by the processor, what processor will be going to do? Processor will release the control over the address bus, data bus, and control bus, and gives this control to the peripheral device who wants to transfer the data. So once this control on the address, data, and the control bus is obtained by the peripheral device or the memory device, then it starts using these buses. It allows the peripheral devices to use them and do the actual transfer. And once this transfer has been done, again that device who has been allowed to use address bus, data bus, has to send a signal, low signal on the holds to the processor, giving the information that data has been transferred. Now you can take the control over the rest of the buses. So these are the four different peripheral or the externally initiated operation which is being performed by the microprocessor.